Hey gang, Carlton Flowers here, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And we have a very special video about BTC tonight. It's the follow-up of the follow-up. We're going to start out on the 4-hour and then we're going to go through and I'm going to show you something that I noticed on the one-day chart along with the one-day chart of all the favorite alts that I was talking about in the last video, several of the top 10 and my favorites. And then I'm also going to show you something that is very, very interesting as I need to mute my phone. Okay, there we go. I'm going to show you something very interesting that is an inverse situation that's going to shed light on what could possibly happen with BTC. We'll do that second after we just inspect the 4-hour chart here, and then we'll run through the one-day charts of everything and end on that point. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of my handsome face, and we will begin here just by showing what's happening here on the 4-hour chart. The BTC price is ooh, that's not BTC, that's XRP. Whoops. Oopsie, please forgive me. Okay, here's BTC. All right, it doesn't look as bad, but it's worse than what it was when I first sat down to do this. We were bouncing back up. And earlier today, we had a green candle moving up here above the point of control price. And I thought, oh man, looks like this rejection has already recovered. And actually the place where it is on the chart coincides with this fake stochastic crossover, a fake out here. You see where the blue line curled up and touched, it was about to cross over. What did it do? It bailed off. Then we had fake stochastic crossover number 2 right there. Look what it did. It touched, it bailed back off. It didn't even touch on this second one, it bailed off. And then of course we have this very, very bearish MACD, which is trailing the stochastic indicator. So all of this action happened here after we had these 2 fake stochastic crossovers that did not manifest. Now we are headed towards the volume node at, let's see, I got to turn off drawing mode to get the little arrows back there. That is at 38,369. So we're headed towards at least this level right there at the point of control. And then we could go all the way down to the middle support resistance zone. So I'm going to make a probability box. Like this is our highest probability that we drop into this zone right here. And then after that, we can fly off to the moon or, you know, whatever happens. And then we'll discuss the other probabilities. Well, actually, this is the 4-hour chart and I'm doing this to do the one day. So the next probable thing would be if it's not sail down into here and then bounce off, the next probability would be fail this and then hit the 30K. And then of course, all right, that's our next highest probability that we get support here and bounce out. And then the least likely case would be jumping all the way down here to this 27 node, and slim to none would be the 19. But we never know what can happen. There could be a black swan event. We're moving into this Delta variant of the you-know-what that you can't say on YouTube because they'll erase this. And I was going to say they'll send me a pipe, B-O-M-B, in the mail, but I can't say that. I can't say that either. That would get me kicked off too. So those are the probabilities on the 4-hour. I don't see us bouncing. We've violated the 50, so the 50 is gone. I don't think we're going to snatch up to the 50 because we're on our second red candle. That closed. We're on the third one, actually. So this first one was on the 50. Then we moved below it, closed the candle. Now we're below it. All right, so that's just the 4-hour. Now, let's get to the one day, and then we're going to start making the major points that I need to make in this video that, yeah, you're going to find this very interesting. So here's the one-day chart. And we don't have to talk too much about this. It's very obvious. This is a downward, this is a swing to a bearish trading micro channel. And that just means that the trading is bouncing into this tight range headed downward. And that happened after we had this upward trending micro trading channel. So then they pivot and they move the other direction. What is interesting on this chart is, let's scrunch this down. Of course, we've got the stochastic that has already rolled over. That's obvious. We had a nice crossover that did not reverse. This just stayed. That crossover stayed and it's headed down. Let's make that red. I'm picky about my colors. There we go. And then there's a crossover coming on the MACDs, but that doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. Now, clearing this out, let's remember something on this chart. The position of the stochastic on the 1 day. We are about to dip into the neutral zone where we are directly on the 80% line, where the %K, the fast line in blue, is below it. The %D, the red line, the slow line, is above it. So we are dead centered at the 80% point. We are about to exit the overbought zone and enter into the neutral zone, the any man's game zone. And down here, of course, is the oversold zone. So remember where this is. Now, let's show you something that's very interesting. We're going to go up to the DXY, which is at 92.04. And we were talking about, I don't think I made this point. I forgot. We weren't talking about that. The point I forgot to make on the last video was that while we were in that bullish micro channel upwards with Bitcoin, DXY was in a bearish micro trending trading channel. Yeah, there we go. I can't barely talk tonight. And then we ended with this green candle that snatched it back above the 200 EMA, and we are still above it. We're above, even though this is a little red one ticking here, we are 2 candles above the 200, and we are well above, well, not well above, but even further above the 50 EMA. Now, here's the point. Where is the stochastic on the DXY? Well, would you look at that? It's in the exact opposite place of where the BTC stochastic cycle is. Now, we see the DXY stochastic 1 day where the fast line, the blue line, is just now crossing the 20% boundary line. And of course, the red slow line hasn't gotten there yet. So it's not straddling it perfectly, but it's so close. It's identical, and it is in the exact opposite phase of where the Bitcoin stochastic was that we were just looking at. In other words, this is what they're looking like. They are looking like polar opposites, because this is what they were doing right there, something like that. Well, I drew these wrong. The red should be up there, but you get the point. They're out of phase with each other. Well, what does that tell you? That tells you that if the DXY is down and oversold, and we have a definitive crossover, and we put the brakes on and caught ourselves below or above the 50 and the 200 period EMA, that in all likelihood, the probability, not definite, but probability, is this is going to happen. It's going to bounce out of there into a bullish trending micro channel. Now, whenever DXY is doing a bullish trending micro channel, BTC likes to do the opposite. It's going to do that. So that lends to the probable case of Bitcoin continuing this correction. I mean, that's uncanny that we have an exact opposite situation of what we're seeing on either one of those. Where, okay, here's those red, we have 4 red candles on Bitcoin, and then we jump up to DXY, and the first candle was very red, but the second one was very green, and then 2 dojis on the red. So these aren't identical, but the positioning of the stochastic is in the opposite, which says that they are not moving in synchronicity. They are moving opposite of each other. That's the point I wanted to make about that. Now I'm going to make the next point, and I'm going to talk fast because we're already 10 minutes in, and I didn't want this to be a long video. It's supposed to be a short update. Let's just take a look at everything. Here's XRP. Where is the stochastic? Peaked, crossed over, heading downward. BTC, stochastic, peaked, crossed over, headed downward. Ethereum, double hump camel, peaked, crossed over, headed downward. First red candle about to happen, which will break the record. There it is right there. If we close that candle out, the party's over. Or at least for this record. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 green candles. Guys, that's monumental. That's insane. 13 candles in a row. All right, let's clear that and keep on moving. Litecoin, peak stochastic, crossover, going down. Mana, peak stochastic, crossover, going down. ICP has already peaked, was going down, and now the quick fake out and double crossed and going down. Filecoin about to cross over, didn't even make it to the overbought zone. The graph peaked, crossover, headed down, barely made it into the overbought zone. Link, Chainlink has crossed over, and we finally have yet another red candle. It could be going down. Loom, one of my favorites, did not peak into the overbought zone, even though we had this massive pump that took us from 6.3 cents all the way to 10.7 cents, but it's going down. Anchor peaked, just crossed over. Is it going down? Well, it's started. It's not much there, but that crossover has happened. AMP peaked, crossed over, going down. Didn't even make it into the overbought zone. Well, let's just run through Mana. Same thing, peak, crossover, going down. Civic, same thing there. GNT, same thing. Algorand, same thing. What do you make of this? Look at all these things. Here's Self-Key. Thank goodness it finally had a crossover. It was about to fool me because I'm about to get a big bag of Self-Key. Not financial advice. Don't copy me. Do your own thing. Loop Ring, peaked, crossed over, going down. KNC, look at that. Bring it on down. I want to get a bag. Xcur, same thing. VeChain, same thing. VThor, same thing. Harmony One, same thing. You get the point. All right. The entire market is in lockstep. Everything is doing the same thing. I don't think it's rebound time yet. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't happen very soon. I mean, it could happen in a matter of 24 to 48 hours. Well, let's see. Yeah. How long will it take for us to get a full cycle on the one-day stochastic? Because I look at the peaks and the prices that it returns, and I want to see what the price returned at the bottom of this cycle. Once we get down here, I want to see what the price is. If the price down here is right here, I'd say it's time to move up again. Or it might hold, up here. It could be. Or it might, go all the way down here by the time we get to the bottom of the stochastic cycle, if it makes down there, if it makes it down there. But if we get this, I look at the price, and then I can tell, are we going to continue a downtrend, break it, or are we going to reverse? And then we still have to make up lost ground and break out all of these previous lower highs before we can declare a change in the direction of the market. Now, back to the chart here. Today is August the 2nd, and I would imagine it would be probably more than what I said, 24 to 48 hours. It might be a week before we can even see the completion of an entire stochastic cycle. So we're not going to know for another week what this will return, but it does mean I'll be able to get some sleep and I won't have to sit here watching these things because I got possibly several days of correction that will happen to bring these favorite alts of mine down so I can do some bottom feeding. All right, that's all I've got to say for this critical update. Let me know if it made sense to you and if it was valuable. And we'll talk again soon. We'll have coffee together and we'll discuss. Have a great and fantastic night.